Welcome to day 3 of Adventures of Tarot Casting. It is June 3rd, 2022. If you're just now happening upon this video, I want to thank you and welcome you to what I call creative divination, playful divination. Just basically, they are my methods of using art, which I love to create, as a backdrop for tarot readings or Lenormand readings or oracle readings, whichever. The board that I'm using today, I believe I have in the shop as geometric stop and look casting board. Sometimes the names of them really, I don't know. I don't know where I come up with these names, but it's in there. So it's a mandala, right? I love mandalas. I love the idea of repeated patterns. If you look to nature, to the smallest, and you've seen the seed of life or the flower of life, we are geometric. Everything is made up of fractals, repeated things over and over and over again. And radial symmetry, which is a mandala basically, just does something so pleasing to the eye. And it makes you realize, like, when you show up to this particular spread, that everything is going to radiate out from the central focus. Of course, I have a circular space here. My plan this year was to incorporate more portals into my daily practice, but I am going to use portals, but they're just going to be the tiny ones on the outer edge. So in the center, I'm going to be using the Round Tarot Original 1909 Circular Edition. And you can get that through Llewellyn. And as you can see, the card fits like perfectly in the center there. So basically, I call it the stop and look because there's an eye, so it makes you want to like take a closer look at what's in the center. And then I have this octagon shape, which is a universal symbol for just stop, halt, take a pause, look at what's going on before proceeding, right? And then of course, like you can see all the lines kind of bring you this giant 8-pointed star, right? 1, 2, yeah. So we have the 8 points. And then I have all these little tiny spaces around, and I created those because at that time, it was when I first launched my minis, the tiny tiles, which are, here's the tiny Lenormand. And then I have tiny portals and tarot, right? But if you take 2 of them and put them together, they actually do fit side by side in the big space. So these spaces could either be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, and 3. For the purpose of this reading, I'm gonna do 1, 2, and 3, and you'll see why. So let's just get to it, right? Like I'm gonna, like before, talk it through so you can see what's going on. Let me give these a quick shuffle. Round cards are a little bit different. I shuffle them overhand just because it's harder to get that edge on the way that I usually like to shuffle. So I just shuffle it overhead and just trust that, when it's ready, and then I will cut the deck. And it just gives us the central focus for this reading. Things to perhaps be aware of today. What is at our stop sign today? So let's cut it. 3. I do love round cards, even though shuffling them is a little bit different. Okay, so we got the Hanged one. You'll see in my readings that I don't use reversals, and it's not because I'm afraid of the reversed energy. It's just because aesthetically, and I'm gonna self-confession, I'm a little bit of a control freak. I don't like to see it upside down. But the cool thing with round cards is you could, place it in any direction. It gives you, there's no just upright or reverse. There's 360 ways you could see this. But when I look at a card, I see all aspects of it, even if it's upright. If the reading lends more to the reverse connotation, then I may go with that. So I don't need it to be reversed in order to get a reverse message, because I feel like with tarot, it's going to let you know the message that needs to come out, right? So I love that the Hanged one shows up for this reading because this is the stop sign reading, right? So what does the Hanged one tell us? It tells us to pause, intentionally take a pause before proceeding. However long that pause is needed today, know that you are shifting your perspective and you are looking at things in a different light in order to be able to make informed decisions about where to go to next, right? So, I mean, that's kind of what a stop sign does. So with this pause, I'm going to take some out of hand tarot tiles and I'm going to just lay them around in a circular, in a way around this. And then as I lay each tile, it's going to build upon it. And then I'm going to add the Lenormand and it's going to build upon that. So you'll see. So adding, where do I want to start? I'm going to start with the top one. And so we have the Seven of Pentacles. I don't know if you can see that. So Seven of Pentacles, and we're going to put that one there. And that also is giving that energy of waiting, right? Like whatever it is that you're working on, it's not quite done yet. You know, you could take it out of the oven before it's ready, but you're just going to have soggy middles and it's not going to be good. So whatever it is that you are working on, it's going to need a little bit more time. And if you feel frustrated, especially today, Mercury goes direct. So just give yourself a little bit more time and then you'll be able to see that that pause was needed. And adding another one. So now I'm just going to go in this, clockwise motion. So we have the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles is talking, why do we need to wait a little bit? Well, because a little bit more research needs to be done on this topic. Whatever it is that you're working on, you may see the end goal and it's easy to want to rush it. But you're not there yet. There's more information that you need to find. And so go pick up a book, go talk to mentors, go talk to somebody about perhaps, when I say talk to somebody, it could be, listening to a podcast or searching the internet, but doing the actual research and just studying a little bit more will help things cook faster. I'm going to use the cook analogy because of the cupcakes. And then we've got the Two of Cups, and this shows that you're working towards a contract. You're working towards this commitment. So whenever we are making a big decision and whenever we are partnering up with somebody, we want to know all the aspects, right? We want to know what it is that, cross the T's and dot the I's. You don't want to just go signing and then not realize what you're signing in. So this is where the research and the waiting is coming in. And then we've got the Nine of Swords. And of course, there's going to be some fears and anxieties that go on because what happens with anything that is something that we're working on, something that we really are perhaps excited about. We can see the bigger picture, even if other people cannot yet. Knowing that once we partner up, then once that happens, say you've signed that contract and you're like now committed to it, all the yeah buts creep in, all the anxieties creep in, the doubts, the things. It's like, I feel like there's never been a decision in my life that I have made that didn't get followed by, oh my God, was that the right thing to do? And if that comes in, you just know that's kind of a healthy fear, right? I always say when I've heard countless of people through the years, clients and whatnot say, oh my God, but I'm terrified. But you can see that their heart wants it so bad. And I said, of course you're terrified. If you weren't afraid of the change, then it really wouldn't be that big of an impact on your life. In order to change things in life, there's going to be some fear attached to it. But I always think of Liz Gilbert, fear does not get to drive, right? So know that there's going to be anxiety, and let's see. The hanged one lets us see it for what it is. And we got the Ace of Wands, right? And so that Ace of Wands, excuse me, is letting you know that this idea is big and it has the potential to be so much bigger than you think, right? So because of that, grab your brush, go paint the picture of the world, allow the fears to be there, don't let them drive, and pursue this idea. And then we've got the Three of Cups. So with this, I change the pattern to mirror this now because again, I don't necessarily like the reversals. I like it to aesthetically, for my own personal taste, I like it to appear upright, and then when it gets to the bottom point, it shifts back and it goes this way. So the Three of Cups show us that we are supported with this idea, and having the time to reflect and know, even when you're feeling anxious about it, when we come back into this center space, we see everybody who has our back. We see those that we want to go have brunch with and discuss it and just know that what we're working on is so much bigger than what we think, and they are supporting us. So it's like, You know, maybe after you sit a little bit, maybe tonight you're going to go and meet up with some friends for some drinks or whatever. Just know that, allow this to be something that brings joy, right? So it's, you know, I need to bring in another tile because I feel like I have more to add to this conversation, but I could ramble on for about the Three of Cups. So let's talk about Temperance. Temperance with this Hanged One and with the story that's unfolding. Well, Temperance is saying that, you know, there's gonna be feelings that surround it. There's gonna be, you know, we've got the waiting, the studying, the contract signing, the fear of the contract, the big idea that now is like gonna happen. We're celebrating it, but we understand, how are we gonna put this into our life? How is this going to shift and change us? Like, what is the flow and the balance that we need to find? Well, the Hanged One, this pause that we're looking at today, allows us to see how it's gonna shift. We don't have to take action right now, but we know that the shift is coming and it's actually going to magically transform our life. You know, like I see Temperance, you know, you think of alchemy and you think of how there's this magical component when it just feels right, right? And so then wrapping up the tarot, we're going to have the Ten of Cups. And so I love that this story is bringing us to this huge conclusion of celebration, right? The Ten of Cups is knowing that we are supported, we're fulfilled, we're having the gathering, we are literally just in that beautiful space of feeling at home and comfortable, and we're surrounded by our people because we've dared to do the thing. So it seems like there's a lot of hurry up and wait going on, but it's all for the betterment, right? And so you might be saying, okay, this is a pretty good reading. I mean, it's totally a good reading, right? But I like to add all the other elements. You don't really need to. You could just walk away from this and be like, you know what, that's it. It's all I want to use this board for. But I like my Lennies, so I'm going to bring those in. And what these are going to do is they kind of give us a little bit of action steps. I like to look at Lenormand as kind of more active, obviously. You know, they're not aggressive. They can be aggressive. They can even be spicy. But adding them with each tile is going to give like a little bit of action steps to go. So we've got, with that, bringing us back to the center clock, right? We can do it a couple ways. We can do, maybe I'll do this first because it just came to me. Lay all the Lenormand like this and read it kind of as a chain, and then lay all like this as a chain. And then if you need further clarification, you can read them together. So that sounds like a lot, but I'll show you what I mean. So we've got Rider. So we've got news, right? Like that new message that's coming, you know, the arrival of whatever it is that you're pausing and reflecting on today. You're looking back at, what is this news, right? And so then we've got the Gentleman. And so the Gentleman could be the news is coming from somebody who is in this kind of authority figure, perhaps, you know, or maybe it's just a friend that knows what's going on. And then we have the House. I'm just going to put these all out so I can talk my way through it. Stork, Mountain, Fish, Snake, and Ship. Okay, so let's talk these ones out. So I said we have that news arriving, and the news can be coming from this figure here. You know, maybe you get a phone call or an email from somebody that you've been wanting to hear from about the project that you're working on, or about the pause could be happening because you have to wait for this message in order to proceed, right? It's something that, you know, with that House, it's something you've been waiting for that kind of makes you feel a little bit safer. Once you get the news, you feel like, okay, things are going to be okay once I hear from this person. And then you know if it's about a promotion or it's about your own advancement in your life, which of course is why you're waiting for this message, right? And then the Mountain is going, okay, but it's a huge obstacle. Like, we get in our own way sometimes, and we get, this obstacle is coming along, and it's kind of like, I don't want to hurry up and wait. But I love that the Mountain is right underneath here, under the Hanged One, because before you scale any mountain, you have to pause and reflect and look at why you're doing it. And why are you doing it? Because we have this fish. It's going to bring in abundance. It's going to bring in, it could be monetary. It could be just all the other little things in your life that you're wishing to expand upon. Snake shows me that there's some people who probably are projecting some negativity onto it. Maybe they're the doubt sayers, you know, the people who might have your best interest in mind. However, they don't know what's in your heart. So just look at them as some small obstacles. They will go away. And then the ship shows that this could be something that is expansive, and the wheels are in motion to perhaps it's not just as small as like your own little world, but it has the ability to span the world, right? Globally. So now I'm going to bring in the other tiles, and we can do that. So we've got the birds up here. Lady, oh, that's funny. Crossroads, bear. And again, I'm just laying them out so that I can read them all at once and then talk it through. We have the heart, the ring, scythe, and clover. Okay, so going up here and reading this as a circle, you know, in the way we did, and then I'm going to read it all together. If I'm losing you, please let me know in the comments. I will do my best to explain, but I think that I'm hopefully not losing you. So let's just keep going. Birds talks about, okay, so we bring us back to the central focus, right? We're pausing because of this hanged one energy. We're seeing where we've sacrificed things. We're taking the hard stop at the moment. And because there's been chatter, right? There's perhaps some gossip that's been going on, and you need to take a closer look. Is this gossip from a friend or from a family member who, you know, might identify as a female? Or maybe it's just some passive energy that you heard, some passive gossiping. Some, you know, when I use the signifiers in a collective and they show up, it's more the energy of that. It's not necessarily male, female, you know, insert signifier here. It's more the energy. So it could, for me, the lady is like that gentle gossip, right? So we've got the gentle gossip, passive, like you heard something, but you need to find out if it's actually true, because you feel like maybe this is going to take you on a different path, right? This crossroads here is like, well, now you might have this decision to make, because it affects your resources, right? So the bear is what we have and consume. It's you know, sometimes it's our livelihood, right? So it's a decision that's affecting everything that's going around us, because it's also coming from our heart. It's something that we love so much. So we need to pause and look at it before we can really move forward. We need to know everything that's going on. And then the ring is like still talking about those commitments, because it's a huge commitment. And it's gonna, Scythe talks about how it's just gonna cut away every single thing that we've, you know, maybe our idea of comfort in this moment, right? In order to make way for these opportunities, that has to happen. So that's how I would read those in a circular motion, like just kind of this building upon. So with Lenormand, if you're new to it, it doesn't have the ability, like it does have the ability like tarot to get big if you want it to, but I usually use just a few quick keywords and it's forming a sentence. So this is gossip. What kind of gossip? Gossip that's coming from a person perhaps you know, or, you know, birds can also mean any communication. It could be a phone call, it could be even anxiety. Think about how birds are kind of anxious. But for me, I use it more as like an oral communication. So it could also be a phone call from a woman. So you got a message from a man coming and then a phone call from a woman. But as I said before, we're not gendering this. It could just be some passive message that you're waiting for, that's going to come in the form of gossip, a phone call, you know, just some sort of vocalized correspondence. And then when you bring the crossroads to that, it's because it's a decision. And then, you know, each one builds on that story. So now I want to go back and see how they would maybe read all together. So we have this hermit, or my gosh, hanged one, not the hermit. I'm a hermit. With the hanged one. And how do these Lenormand tiles play off of the tarot, right? So what are we waiting for? So now we're going to read these as a 3-card spread, kind of like this. So what are we waiting for? We have the Seven of Pentacles talking about that, you know, it's not done yet because you're waiting for news. You're waiting for this phone call to arrive, right? And so once the phone call arrives, you've got study going on here with this gentleman and lady, which I think is hysterical. It's showing me that, yes, there is more research to be done, and you need to look to the people who've already perhaps have knowledge in this. You know, whatever it is, I don't know what you're working on, but whatever it is that you're working on, there are going to be some people who can help you out in some way. So seeing both signifiers on it, it's showing look to the greater world, and if you have questions, ask them, because the only wrong question is the one that's not asked, right? And so then it talks about the commitments and the contracts. It's showing this house with the crossroads in this Two of Cups is like, this is a big decision. Maybe you're signing paperwork on a new house. This is exciting, you know? It's a big decision, but it's exciting. And then you've got the stork with the bear and the Nine of Swords. Oh my gosh, I just signed this contract. It's gonna change my whole life. It's leveling up, and it affects your resources. Like, if this is going on to the house signing contract, or maybe you signed a new lease on something, or whatever it is that it's a big decision, there's gonna be anxiety because now you actually have to do the thing. You're moving forward, you know? You're moving forward in a good direction though, because it's like, whenever that happens, like I said, there's always going to be, oh my gosh, but I know I can afford this now. Doing this, am I going to be able to afford it later? That's where that anxiety comes in. So then with the Heart and the Mountain and the Ace of Wands together, I see this as, let's see, I'll put this in my hand to see if the camera will focus in. So with these three together, it talks about the obstacle that we already perhaps overcame, but the new idea was able for us to get to that space in our heart that say, okay, it's a slower moving process than I thought, but it's still something that I want to do. It's still gonna, the end result is gonna be this thing that I love, right? So going to the next one, we're celebrating now, right? The contract has been signed, we've made the commitment, the money has exchanged hands, but there's still money left over. So now we can celebrate, right? Because that fish shows that whatever this deal is that you're doing, money's gonna keep coming. Our abundance is gonna keep flowing. The commitment, the ring is cycles. It shows like a continuous, you know, so it's just gonna keep happening. And then we have the Temperance with the scythe and the snake. For me, that is cutting away those small obstacles. You know, they're not, we're always going to have those people in our orbit that perhaps have those doubts, but it's okay to move away from them. It's okay to cut them out if that's what's going to be the best to find your flow. And then we have the Ship with the Clover and the Ten of Cups. And this is talking about the travel opportunities, perhaps with your family and your friends, you know, getting together to celebrate this big thing that you're working on that is taking time. Anything that is worth doing is not necessarily going to be such a quick decision, right? So that's where the stop, refocus, bring it back in, come back to center, look at all aspects of what's going on, and really allow the space for this to become something. You know, anything that happens slowly tends to be more sustainable, right? So now I'm just going to give some quick keywords. I mean, at this point, the reading is done, right? So I just want to show you how the portals play in, and you can totally, if you want to get really big and juicy in this kind of reading, you can do that. But I'm just going to give you keywords to think about to go along with your pause, you know. And we get the keywords by adding the animals. So jellyfish talks about going with the flow. The cat is to remember the mystery. Bat is trust your senses. Blue jay is use your voice. Bee, do the work. Horse is realize that you're gentle and powerful. I don't know where some of these come from. They just come. And groundhog. Oh my God, I love groundhogs so much. Tidy up your space. And we've got seahorse. And seahorse is hold on to what's important, right? So going back to the beginning, before I started the whole reading, touching on the radial symmetry in the mandala, right? I love just looking at this and seeing it. It just gives me so much happiness and flow. And I would like to believe at an energetic level, maybe that helps really drive the reading home, is when you see it's almost like for people who like crystal gridding, the reason that you do it in the geometric patterns is it speaks the language of the universe, right? Like, I don't like to get too wooey because I'm very skeptical in my woo. If you've been part of my world for a while, you will have heard me mention that. But I do feel that there's a reason that our eye likes radial mandalas, the symmetry of it. And I think that on some unconscious level, when we see this kind of spread, we're fascinated by it. And there's that part maybe of our unconscious that understands a deeper message, even if it didn't necessarily come through. You got it, right? So that's why I love doing things like this, because it just looks really nice, right? And of course, it's a huge reading and it can be very, very intimidating. So what I always say is, if you do get one of these boards, or you don't need the board to do the backdrop, you know, I always love when people support me, but I want to inspire and empower you to do your own thing. So use what you have. I used to use a rug that was a circular rug and just stick cards out, and you can see how big it gets. But one thing that I do want to stress when you do these kind of readings, record them. Record them like I'm recording right now, so that you can watch the playback, because you might be surprised at what comes through when you're sitting here talking to a wall, which I'm talking to, but I'm actually talking to all of you, but you're not here in my space. But when I listen to the reading and I listen to the playback, I usually am surprised by what comes through. I don't always know, you know, it's kind of neat. Like I said, I tread lightly in the woo, where I'm going, okay, I'm channeling. I don't believe that I'm a channeler, but even though there's sometimes I say things and I have no idea where it comes from. So maybe that's my own roadblocks that I have to look at. But that is this board. I really hope that you enjoyed this today. Let me know in the comments if it resonated. If you're still confused and you would like more explanation, definitely let me know, and I will do another follow-up with this board, or do my best to just talk it through with you. So I hope you have a wonderful Friday, or whatever day it is that you happen upon this video, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.